Our previous demo, we created an integration project inside Fuse Online where we expose one of our databases over REST interface. So this is the project we created. If we quickly look at the different components, so the first one was the REST API interface where we created a get method for getting task based on task ID, also a get method for getting list of tasks, as well as update, delete, and create a new task. If we look at the Swagger 2.0 documentation, so this is the documentation. If we just navigate it or browse it through the Swagger editor, we'll find the different methods here, including the list of all tasks, create task, get task, update task, and delete task, and also the expected parameter as well as the response. So in today's demo, we are going to expose this API over Red Hat API Management 3scale. So at the starting point, right, this is the management console for 3scale. So we create a new API. We just give it a name, tasks API. So once the API is created, you can look at the configuration, edit the configuration. Here, 3scale will allow you to either use the standard API cast, right? Or else you can define or select other gateways if they are available. So in our case, it's only one API gateway available with this install base, and also we have the different authentication methods, either API key, app ID, API key, or open ID. So for this API, we're going to use a simple API key. So update the service, that's fine. The second step here is to integrate the API with the existing API gateways. Let's quickly look at the API. We remember that we have created at least two methods. One of them is to get list of tasks. Another one is to get a specific task based on task ID. So we're going to create those two methods here. The first method is to get list of tasks. The second one is to get task based on task ID. Okay, and now we need to map those. So we need to map those methods in the integration. So this is the API base URL. I'm going to use it here. And we'll be adding one method which is tasks maps to get tasks. Another one which is tasks task ID, and this maps to get task. So let's update. Okay, I'm going to just get the production. Okay. And this is the staging. And update the same here. So that's fine. So now we created the API and we integrated the API with our backend endpoint, and also we mapped two methods, task/task ID, to the API methods. Right? We can leave the default one, which is the hits. Otherwise, we can delete it. It's not required. Okay. Also, the authentication method, we have selected the API key. So by default, right, the API key name will be user underscore key, and it will be passed as a query parameter. We can still choose to pass it as HTTP header or using even the HTTP basic authentication. For our case, we'll just keep it as a query parameter. Also, we can introduce new policies to the gateway. So 3scale comes with standard policies, right? And also you can create your own custom policy. So it can be, for example, something like IP whitelisting. So if we need to, for example, IP check, if we enable this policy, we will be able to, again, get list of IPs from whatever options, and then we add the list of IPs, right? So for our demo, we are going to, again, use the standard 3scale API cast policy. So the next step now is to create what is called application plan. So application plan is the contract where we define, let's call it tasks basic plan, tasks basic plan. We define two things. The rate limiting, right? So it means how many hits, either lifetime or yearly or monthly or weekly, daily, hourly, or per minute. And also we define the associated dollar value if we need to enable monetization. So there are different options. We'll quickly jump to the plan definition. So here, for example, for the get tasks, we can define limit, right? So this limit can be, again, per minute, let's say 10 hits per minute. So it means we cannot access this method more than 10 hits per minute. You can define different limits. So you can say, for example, it is 100 hits per day or 1,000 hits per day, but still cannot exceed 10 hits per minute. Also, you can define the pricing, right? Again, you have tier price, so you can say from 1 hit till, let's say, 500 hits, it's 0.1 dollar, and then you can also define from 501 to 1,000 another, let's say, price or 5, something like this. Okay. So this is what defines a application plan. So now we created a basic plan. So this basic plan introducing rate limit for the get tasks and introducing two pricing rules for get tasks. While get task, no limit and no pricing associated with it. So just update the application plan. Very good. So now we have the API. We have the different methods. And we have the application plan. The next step is to create an application for a specific API developer to be able to use the API. So if we quickly go to audience and look at the different accounts, developer account, and look at the subscription, you'll find that again tasks API now it is there, so you can subscribe. Default plan, read subscription. So before that, if we go back to our tasks API and look at the application plan, so we need to publish this application plan to be available. And also if we look at the API configuration, so now we have the integration, we have the API configuration, and as we can see, we have the staging environment where version 2 of the API is already running on the staging and it's not yet promoted to production. Very good. So look at the settings. We'll just add the default plan. Very good. And now the time to go back to our audience, developer, and we look at the applications. So we'll create a new application now. So this application is mapped to the tasks basic plan, and we call it tasks basic app. Create this application. Sorry, description, tasks basic app, create the application. And as we can see, 3scale already created an API key for this API developer to be able to access the API. So just copy this API key and go back to our tasks API, and now we can say configuration, edit the API, task configuration, and once an application is created, 3scale will automatically get the API key, right, to be used for testing. So if we provide one of the valid requests here and update the IP, we'll find that this green color means the connection between the client gateway API is working correctly and the response is coming. If we take this URL, copy, right, and open a new tab and just paste this URL here. So as we can see, now we're getting the list of tasks from our backend API, REST API through 3scale. So the last step here, after we successfully define the API and map the list of methods, is to again promote the changes from staging to production. So if we just promote, so as you can see now the production OpenShift, sorry, to 3scale, and looking at the overview and the analytics, we figure out that right now we have 11 hits, right? If you click on the analytics to get more details. So now we know exactly that, again, we get tasks, right? Total number of hits is 11, get tasks 5, right? And the get task is 1. And also here getting more details about the analytics. Also you can get the daily average, the hourly average, also integration error, if there is any integration errors. In this case, let's give it a try. Let's pass, for example, invalid key by adding 1 in front of it. So authentication failed. So definitely this will be reflected. Yes, so invalid key. One last step is to, again, add the active documentation for this API. So in the next demo, we will show how can we discover those API through the developer portal and access the active documentation. So again, create specification. It is tasks API, tasks API active docs, and publish it, and you can quickly go to Fuse Online and get the Swagger definition and add it. So create the surface. And now we have the active docs for this API already created, which is a list of tasks. Okay. Create a new task using post, delete existing task, get task by ID, or update task. So this is the scope of this demo. So to quickly recap what we did, we created an API inside 3scale, mapping one of the backend APIs created by Fuse Online. So this API is exposing one of our tables in database and provide all the CRUD operations, including the create, retrieve, update, and delete. After creating this API inside 3scale, we created the different methods and metrics, which in our case, getting list of tasks or getting a task by ID. And then we configure the API by integrating the or mapping the different methods to the endpoint URLs. And also we enabled the authentication method, which is the API key. After that, we created an application plan. So this application plan, we created different rate limits and different pricing rules. After we created the application plan, we subscribed to this service, right, for one of our API developer accounts, okay, which is Task API. And after that, we also created an application that allows this API developer to access the application based on a specific plan. And then we were able to test the API using a valid key to get the response from the backend API. And we were able also to get the analytics in terms of the API usage, right? Either daily, hourly, top applications, response codes, alerts, and integration errors.